Hi, my name is Cindy Falk, and I am with the Urban League. And
Yay, Cindy!
we meet the fourth Tuesday of every month at the Math Science Building on Whittington. It is just a group of fun folks. We like all things herbs, and we like anything that's even around in the family of herbs. We get together, we don't read any minutes, so that makes us a little bit different because we don't care who ate what last week. We just gonna get to it and go on with it. You don't have to know anything about herbs, you just have to come and want to have fun, and there's always food, so if nothing else, that's worth showing up for. Before we get started, I'm going to read my disclaimer because I probably will inadvertently say something is good for something else, and I only mean this for entertainment purposes, so here goes. These statements are for informational purposes only and have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. They are not intended to treat, cure, or diagnose any disease. We are not responsible for any misadventures that should occur should you decide to attempt to implement usage of information in any way, shape, or form, or to self-medicate. Using herbs and essential oils may be dangerous or even fatal. Everyone is different. Always consult a healthcare professional before putting anything on, in, near, or around your person. This is especially true if you're pregnant, nursing, or could become pregnant. If you have a medical condition or on medication, are mentally or physically impaired, or just plain stupid. and that's for there on the don't use the blow dryer in the shower. So that's for those people. All right, we all have some affinity for herbs. A lot of times we'll try to grow the ones that we think are the easiest, or that mint. We'll start out with that. And our sweet little mint plant, or our sweet little, they used to call it sweet Melissa, but it is our lemon balm. We have it, we grow it, and we lovingly look over it, and the next thing you know, it has taken over everything. The herb has gone wild. Like we were talking about earlier, herbs just want to have fun, so it's everywhere. Well, what do you do with it? And it may not be one that you cultivated. It may be one that just popped up, like dandelion or chickweed or plantain, which is everywhere. So what do you do with it? The more you use an herb, the more you can keep that under control. So there's two things that you can do to kind of preserve your herb and sort of cut down on all the extra waste that's going on. One of them is you can freeze it. The other thing you can do is dry it. So decide how you use your herb the best. If you use it mostly for culinary purposes and you like to have fresh basil or fresh sage, fresh rosemary, then you can take that herb, you can put it in, and the reason I'm talking 90 to nothing is I only got 15 minutes, and so it takes me that long to say hi. So we're going to try to whip as much stuff in here as we can. So you're going to take that herb, you can put it in a food processor, you can put it in a blender, or you can chop it finely, put a little bit of water over it, and then you can pour that into, blend it together and pour that into like ice cube trays. Stick that in your freezer, freeze them, and then whenever you want a little bit of fresh herb, there you go. Or if you use more than that, like a handful, then you might want to put that in a baggie, whatever floats your boat. You can also take those herbs and you can mix them in butter. Butter is always a good idea. We're from the South, so we like butter. Butter's better. You can put those herbs in that butter, make you flavored butter. That too can be frozen, and pull it out to use it as a base. Yeah, you can use that as a sauce. You can just put it on bread for tea sandwiches. So you can always have that in reserve if you like them fresh. Now then, let's get to drying those herbs. You don't have to have a dehydrator. You can, but you don't have to. One of the easiest ways to dry your herbs is just to pick them. Whenever you pick your herbs, don't take any more than you're going to want to process and clean at that time. Otherwise, your kitchen's going to look like herbs went wild in your kitchen. They'll be everywhere. You won't feel like getting to them. Usually, a lot of people like to pick their herbs after the dew is gone, out in the sun, and they let the sun dry them off, and they go out there with their little scissors and little birds from Snow White singing in the air and clip them. Not me. I get them when I can get them because that's the way most folks are. You go out, you get them. If it's been a later in the day, earlier in the day, take them inside, wash them off. If you want to, before you bring them inside, let them sit for a little bit because sometimes some of the bugs will go, hey, wait a minute, something's wrong here, and they'll leave. And don't freak out if you find bugs in your plants. That's where they are. They come visit. Bring them in the house. You're going to wash them. Notice I said wash and not wash like Southern folks do. And you're going to wash your herbs. You can use a salad spinner, or you can pat them dry. If it's something like mint and you're going to use the stalk as well, take a rubber band and rubber band the end of that stalk. That way when the water leaves and they start shrinking up, it'll go with them. Some things people used to do, they take a needle and they thread it through like they would beans, and they'd hang those up. In order to keep the dust off of them, I like those little mesh bags that you see that you get from a wedding, you know, little organza. Put them in that. That way it keeps the dust off. You can do it in a screen. You can make you layers of a screen. You can put them outside and put them in there. But I do mine inside. I keep it in a dry, kind of a cool, but it can be warm as well, dark place. Underneath the cabinet is good. You open up my cabinet doors, you'll see stuff hanging. If you have access to your attic and it's dark, you can, you know, put them up there. Debbie, my good buddy, and she's also a master gardener, Debbie Tripp, she likes to take hers, put them in a paper bag, poke holes in that paper bag, and she sticks them in the back of her trunk for about a day or two, and it'll dry them just like it was in an oven. But you can do them in the oven, but don't do them in the microwave because a lot of these guys have oils, and you'll find out real quick when that sucker. Not that I would ever do anything like that, but let's just say it doesn't work well. All right, so now we've got dried herbs and we've got frozen herbs. Well, now what are we going to do with them? If it's a culinary herb, yeah, you can make your sauces, you can have it for later. If you collect a lot of the leaves, you can go ahead and powder them if you want to. And if you powdered your herb and you don't want sticks and stones in there, get you a fine little mesh strainer, put those herbs in there, and that powder will come through. So what do you do with that powder? Well, you can use it like you would if it was garlic powder or onion powder. You can put that in your stuff. Or you can make what's called an oxy milk, which is got some, that is the one with honey. So you can use like a honey enhancer. You can put that in your herb. I mean, you can put your herb in your honey, and you can spread that on toast. So let's say you've got mint and you powdered some mint. So you can have, or you can have mint honey and just let it sit in your honey. That's always good. I wouldn't necessarily put my fresh herb in the honey. I'd put my dried herb in the honey because honey will ferment. It doesn't go bad, but it might ferment. You know, so hey, that might not be such a bad idea. You can put it in your mead, but maybe not on your toast. That's a good idea with that. You can also put your herbs in your bathtub. You can have a nice little herbal bath. Things like lavender, chamomile, passion flower. Those are really good in your tub to help you relax. They're also a really good cup of tea. So you can use that. Medicinal herbs are not necessarily culinary herbs, but culinary herbs are often used medicinally. Check with your doctor because the FDA says so. But I'm just, just in general. For instance, mint is usually used for digestion trouble. It's good for colds, flus. And so those are some of the traditional ways that people have used that. Valerian, we've all heard of valerian. The flower on valerian smells wonderful. It smells like shampoo. That's not the part we normally use. We use the roots, which do not smell like shampoo. They smell like dirty feet. But fortunately, it doesn't taste like it smells. So if you mix that with a little bit of dried rosemary and maybe a little bit of chamomile. You might have a nice little herbal tea that you can have at the end of the day to kind of help you sleep. Where are we at in time? Do y'all know how far
I'm sorry, I don't have a watch. Then 10 minutes.
Okay, about 5 or 10 minutes. Is there any questions y'all want to ask so far? You want me to keep running my jaws?
I have a question. When you grow herbs and they're starting to come up the next year, do you take them all the way down to the ground, or do you just let them grow? Because some of mine are getting woody, and the ones I'm specifically talking about are oregano and my thyme. Those are the two that are mostly getting woody on me, and it's like I'm not getting enough herb on it. I've just got all this wood stuff.
Yeah, I would, take it back for that new growth. That's another reason to kind of use it as you grow, because it'll kind of regenerate and it'll be some. Because some things, once they get a little woody, they're not the most fun. But the good news is, with the woody stuff, you can make what's called a bouquet garnier. So you can tie that together because it's still going to have flavor in it. And you can put them, I don't know if any of y'all make tea or use loose tea, but you can use a tea ball, and they have something called an herb ball, so you can put them in there, and then you can pull that out so you don't have the unpleasant woody bits in there. So, that's a use for them, because sometimes we don't always get to things like we should. Mostly what I do is I'll just harvest everything, and then I call Debbie if it doesn't come back. My thing is when it's out of the ground, once it's separated, then that's my territory. You can use it, again, like we said, to make things like bass. You can make bass salts. You can actually make herb salts. So you can put some of your herbs, mix it in there, make your own salt-free blends. You can use a lot of, if you're doing something that's kind of woody, then you're going to want to, while it's still got some moisture in it, you'll want to chop that fine, and it's going to take a little longer for something like that to dry out than it may the leaves. So you might want to separate them. You might want to put your leaves and, strip your leaves off and put them in one place, and then leave the sticks somewhere else. And some of those sticks, when they get nice and woody, like the rosemary, you can use that as a skewer. Yeah, so those makes wonderful tea. You can make tea out of those. And from the teas, you can make infusions, you can make decoctions, which are, one of them is a tea that's been steeped really long, and then the other one has been cooked long and then just steeped regular. So many fun things to do. Anybody else have a question? Or y'all just gonna make me stand here and look at you? I know what you're gonna do. You're gonna wait till we leave, and then you're going to come up, and then you're going to ask me something really good. Well, let's see. What else can we do with these herbs? Oh, we know we like to cook, but, when you go to the grocery store, you're going to be paying an arm and a leg. So look and see what they're growing. Basil, all that stuff. You can grow. You can put them, you can reuse them in the jars that the other herbs came in. It's already labeled. If not, make your own little label. This is elderberry. Always makes a good tea. You can cook that down. You want to cook your elderberry. Lemongrass. Love lemongrass. Lemongrass is, right now it's kind of the it girl of the lemony things. Used to, they couldn't get lemons. Back in the Middle Ages, it was tough to get a lemon. So the it girl back then was lemon balm. It had a lot of that citral, a lot of that flavor in there. So people would use that. It was used for kind of like St. John's wort. It maketh the heart merry, is what they used to say. So it was kind of like a nervine, and it had all the properties of mints. It had, some properties to sort of balance you out if you were a little stressed. Nice little herb, and it does have lemon flavor, more lemon flavor than was available, because they couldn't really get lemons. So what knocked it out of the park was lemon verbena. I love lemon verbena. Put that in butter, you put that in soup, and they would use other things that had lemon flavor, sorrel and different things like that. Now that, they can be a little harder on you liver-wise, but people still make sorrel soup. Little's okay. Sassafras, which is, love sassafras. Yeah, they'll use the leaf in a lot of Cajun cooking. Am I getting down? 1 minute. 1 minute. One. Maybe that was like bye. Okay. Oh, she's gonna give me 2 more. But sassafras, it's one of those herbs that you can't legally sell because it has saffron in it, which if you drink a bathtub full in your mouth, it can affect your liver. So we don't want to do that. It's great for, you have to remove that. They'll usually make it into a liquid and then they'll take the saffron out, and that's what's commercially available. But once upon a time, that's what people used to use, was the sassafras root. And then in your Creole cooking, you'll use the leaf. Well, I guess is it about time now? Is my 2 minutes of fame up? Okay. Well, if any more questions, I'll answer them after we're done. But I appreciate y'all. Y'all come out and see us. We are the Urban League, and I give you my phone number, but I saw how many people they think might listen. So
Tell us what time your meeting is again.
Our meeting is at the Math Science Building. On Whittington, 200 Whittington, and that's in Hot Springs, Arkansas. We meet at 6 o'clock, and we meet the 4th Tuesday of every month. Not the last, but the 4th. So sometimes there's 4, sometimes there's more. But we'd love for y'all to come out and see us and give Debbie a hard time for making me do things like this and not being here to hold my hand. But we'd love to have you. We got food, we got fun, and it's just $20 for a year. So, thank you so much.
Thank you.